himself. He continues to cheer us on, and he continues to do that. Now, I had an unusual verse came to me I prepared this a few days ago, but this morning I just thought about it, and a couple of thoughts I added to it this morning. And one was a very unusual one, and then you had it in your first song. And it was even the same picture, which I thought that's quite amazing. Revelation 19, verse 11. It says that there's a rider on a white horse, and his name is Faithful and True. Faithful and true. God cannot help himself. He is committed to you beyond anything you can ever imagine. He is there. When we bowed the knee and said, Lord, I commit my life into your hands. Whatever our understanding was as far as God's concerned, that was it. Signed and sealed, and I'm with you right through to the end. And that's our God. That's our God. He is with us all the way. He cannot be anything but faithful. He cannot be consistent with his own nature. He continues to do that, and he can't help but be anything but that towards us. So, one of the things, when I grew up at school, I went to a country school in a small town called Peria. Anyone know where that is? Peria? Yeah? Oh, you lived in Peria? Come on. There we go. I wasn't too far from Peria, but I grew up in a straight line on State Highway 3. So the straight line not too far. I grew up on a big farm of 2,500 acres. It was just one big playground. I loved it. Used to go down the Tomos and dangling over cliffs and all sorts of crazy stuff like that, and hunting and healing, and it was just brilliant. Absolutely loved growing up. We did. But when we were at school, I can remember being with my mates, and you know when someone's trying to tell the biggest story, like that I saw this or I saw that, and yeah, and they say, true, honest, yeah, that's the truth, that's how it is, it's like that. I said, oh yeah, cross my heart and hope to God, it's the truth. And that's what kids are like, they really pump it up. And sometimes my dad is stronger than your dad. Well, that kind of thing. He can do this and he can do that. The problem is in his teenage years, the dad's an idiot. Something happens. Yeah, but he's cool about cashing on it, because when they're at 9 or 10, they still think you're cool, but you lose your glory for about 10, 12 years. Then they keep improving, but a different way later on. But kids did that. I remember doing that. We'd say, I'll put my life on it. Yeah, promise. Well, in a sense, really pump it up to get across the point. In a sense, God does that as well. So I'm not felt like a kid would, but it's like when he's making his promise to us. He thinks, okay, this is my promise. I'm going to be doing this, and this, and I promise this. And he's looking around like, what's the greatest thing I can bank on to secure the promise? And you know what he ends up with? Himself. It's himself. By mine own name. Hebrews 6, verse 13. Because he can swear by no one greater. By my name. He said to Abraham, in blessing I will bless you. And we're children of Abraham, we're children of faith. And God has spoken over by my own name, I promise you that I will bless you and I will be with you always. And he sends his word from his mouth, and it is always true. We often get a bit confused. We say, well, look, it says in the word that comes out of his mouth will prosper in what it says. But he can't remember. It's the living word that comes out of his mouth. What is he saying now? And that's what achieves and accomplishes his purpose. One of the things that's encouraged me so much is God cannot help but be himself. Some of my greatest discoveries of the heart of God and the nature of God have come out of defeats and failure and confusion, all sorts of stuff. And I look around waiting to see who's God going to intervene, he's going to do this, and this. But he is constantly cheering me on, saying, come on, you get up. You haven't done this here, I know, but that's why I died. I'll pay the price and get up. Come on, get moving, you can do it. And he cannot but help do that towards each one of us. And I really hope that we can allow that to sink in. And he has promised to fulfill all his promises toward us who call on his name. Jude, there's no chapters in Jude, but verse 24, it says simply this: to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you before his glorious presence without fault and with great one of us, I'm sure we have areas in our life where we're a little bit prone to slip sliding and all those kind of things. You know about that? Yeah, well one of my great vices, I was set up to fail right from the word go. My family liked betting on horses. I was but when I was born, my dad won a treble, and his third leg was terrific, and he didn't call his son terrific, so I got Terry out of that. Terrence, but Terry. And for good measure, my initials are TAB. And my uncle owned a TAB. He used to get very nervous when, in my school uniform, I used to go downtown and say, Uncle Owie, come down here. I've got some bets, and he'd look this way and that. So, unfortunately, one of my vices was on the horses. And anyway, became a Christian, and like all good Christians, it all drops away. But who knows, sometimes those kind of habits are looking for a more opportune time. It says the devil to Jesus, so if that's the master, what about us? And so some years into my Christian walk, I was doing breakouts, and that had fallen away. And that was good. But one time I went up to Auckland, and I was on my own. I wanted to watch the New Zealand Golf Open. And that was great. So I was watching, I was staying in a hotel here, and go watch the golf. And when it finished, I went to Auckland, and I noticed, it's funny how it's like, whatever you've been to, you notice stuff that other people don't. See, you never see a TAB, but I was in Manukau, and I noticed a TAB. I said, oh, there's one there. And so that's all it is. And the next day it's, why don't you go for a walk? Why don't you go for a walk? So I walked past the TAB, and I thought, no. I walked back. Went 400 metres that way, then came past 300 metres that way, went back again 200 metres, and then I went into the TAB. That's a good Christian, of course. I was going into witness. I wasn't doing that. Yeah. But anyway, now, what I'm about to describe, none of you probably know what I'm talking about. If you walk into a TAB, what you find is a counter with all the operators there with their machines. And around here is a lot of TVs, okay? You don't have to go confirm, they'll tell you the truth. Trust, that's what it looks like. So I go to this thing the whole time. You know what it's like when you know you're about to do something and you sort of go, I shouldn't be here, and you're still standing there. So I'm in this place, and here's the TVs, and that's covering, like, it was all in teletext, so all around there. And the favourite is always flashing up in bright lights, okay, so it shows you the favourites. And there's another bunch of TVs dedicated to another race meeting elsewhere. And anyway, so I think, well, we shouldn't be here. And the favourite flashing on this one was called Divine Temptation. Oh, that's interesting. That's a odd name for a horse. And I thought, well, I shouldn't really be here. Guess what the favourite was on the side? Keep the faith. I kid you not. So I did actually show a clean set of heels on that. So God knows how to get us out of places we ought not be. He knows how to do that. And I know sometimes we don't take the advice and we don't listen and stuff, but He is able to do it. In Matthew 28:20, it says of Jesus, He will never leave us nor forsake us. We're not on our own, even though at times we wish we were, we're not. So here we're going to open up Psalm 139. And there are different parts here that really cover the fullness of how we do life. In Psalm 139, David writes these words, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? And it's an unusual thing to say, flee from the presence of God. It doesn't really make much sense. But he starts off by saying this, if I go up to the heavens, not heaven, but the heavens, you are there. And in a sense, what that's talking about is, if in a sense we've set up, we want to be somebody, we want to be someone great, we want to make a huge name for ourselves and build either a great business or be a great sports person or a great singer, whatever that may be, that we term to be great, and we just really want to be It's like God is saying, you think this is greatness. I sit in a place where every time the elders see me, they fall down and cast their crowns. In fact, it is so mighty, there will come a time when there's going to be silence across the face of the earth. So, we think greatness. I've reached the pinnacle and look and see what the Lord's there. And He far exceeds that. So even in that time where we may get off track a little bit and pursue making a name for ourselves, we think, okay, I've tried this, walk with God and it's this, and it's not really doing it for me. And so I'm going to go and do this and begin to achieve those things. David said, when I did those things, behold, God was there. He was there even in that. Even if I'm walking that way, God was there. God was there. And that's just an incredible thought. Now this came out in one of the songs as well. If I make my bed in the depths. If I make it in some translations it uses the word Sheol or hell, you are there too. When we make our bed, the place where we rest, and it's to be either through circumstances forced upon us or by us choosing to, and we end up in the most desperate and depressing of situations. Things are just not, it feels like you've got a hell on earth. When life becomes like that, now all of us will go through that at some stage, and we just feel we're weighed down, we're crushed beyond measure, and our hope feels like it's extinguished. That place where it's not good. It just seems a bit like Job, where there's bad news and there's some more bad news, and for good news to run more life. And you're just crushed down there. And it's a horrible space. And people think, well, God only helps a certain class of people. But here we say this is going to the lowest place human beings can ever be pressed down into. And if we go to that place and we think, there's no hope for me, it's just about done. I think this is just about call it a day. I don't think I can go on. Somehow the psalmist looks around and goes, behold, you are even there too. God is there. When Jesus said, I will never leave you nor forsake you, He meant it. And there is no place where He cannot reach us. No place where He can't constantly be standing there with us. Our God is there with us. And I'm sure in those times of absolute depression, I just can't bear this anymore, that God is there. He is there and He's ready to grab us and to lift us up. And now He goes on to say something a little bit interesting. It says, if I rise on the wings of the dawn. Now, I always think of who's it, the one with the big bad wolf, and he said he's going to leave at 2 o'clock, but he's tricky. And he got up at 1 o'clock to go to the market or whatever. What's that story? Is that the one? I think it was a big riding book. I get them mixed up. One of them being tricked. And he told one time and it was bogus because he actually going to go another time. Well, here we say, if I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I choose a time when no one is expecting it, I'll put God out. He doesn't know I'm going to do it. I'll move out of His covering, I'll move right away because the decisions I've made are so random, so quick and so fast, it surprises His plan. And He's not going to have a plan B all set, and I'll move out of that which is normal. I'm going to surely be alone. But the brilliance here is God is not surprised. This is the amazing thing, and it's comforted me so much over the years when stuff happens and bursts upon our life out of nowhere. And my goodness me, I can tell you this, God is not up in heaven going, oh my gosh, I didn't see that one coming. Where did that come from? No. He saw that a long time ago. He knew it was coming. And He saw it. And the interesting thing is, it says that God is never surprised, and the Word says God is not asleep. He does not sleep. I don't know what that means in eternity, we'll be in the sleep, I don't know. But certainly God does not. And I think this is just such an amazing thing. And here he goes a little bit further. If I settle on the far side of the sea. So in a sense, it's almost like I'm going to do with Jonah. I'm going to run far. run away from those crazy Christians and those crazy churches and all that they stand for. I'm going to get far away from God. We have a friend who God had been calling, and he'd sort of taken a few steps of faith, but he decided, that's it, I can't bear this anymore, I'm going to run. And so literally that's what he did. He hitchhiked, he took off, he was gone. And the irony is, every single car that picked him up was a born-again Christian. In fact, he tells a story of one time he was running, he saw this car stop, he said, oh good, I just got to get out, he literally ran, and he fell over, and he slid under the car. And the driver was like, what the hell have I got here? And the guy hopped into the glass. He goes, oh, you know Jesus? Oh my goodness, give up. So, when God is on our case, when God has decided He is looking out for us, He meant it. He's with you mightily. I really felt as I was praying for this church and for the members within here that some here, like in all churches, but some here, you've had promises, you've had expectations, and you've had hopes of things that you hope to see come to pass. God is saying to you, I believe, hold on, keep going, keep moving forward, keep believing, keep trusting Him. Allow Him to fulfill that which He has promised. You know, one of the things is, what gets in our way is our human understanding that we believe it should happen in a certain style or a certain way, but God is much greater than that. But here, it says, if I go to the far side, it says, I can't get any further away. Listen to what it says. We're running, and it says, this is brilliant. The scriptures say this. Listen to this. Even of as far away as possible, even there, your right hand will guide me. Even there, even in our darkest choices, in our most confused and darkened state, His right